Since his appointment as Vice President for University Advancement in July 2008, Mr. Mike O'Neill has reinvigorated the University Advancement Program, fully integrating alumni relations and development as a robust, energetic team that successfully engages our alumni, family, and friends as we move toward the next capital campaign for Villanova in support of the university's strategic imperatives. As a champion of effective alumni engagement, he has been extremely supportive of the Alumni Association and its volunteer board. We are happy to be part of his team and look forward to continuing to work together for Villanova. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mike O'Neill.
Good evening, everyone. And thanks, Bob, for that nice introduction. And most importantly, thank you for the tireless effort and dedication that you have given to Villanova for the past 2 years. It's been truly a pleasure and a privilege to work with you. We just had a wonderful conversation around the table with our keynote speaker from earlier today, Michael Mandelbaum, who we found out is a big baseball fan. And so we were talking about the national pastime, and I thought, boy, you know, today's summit was all about the future of the American dream, and it's kind of fitting in many ways that we would be having conversations about baseball or national pastime, talking about the future of the American dream, and honoring here this evening a real baseball man, as they would say, in the great alum, Frank Boulton. So it's my pleasure to offer my sincerest congratulations to our very special honoree here this evening, Frank Boulton. Among many things, is the owner of the Long Island Ducks. And secondly, it's actually 4 years today that I was waiting patiently or impatiently, as Father Peter has come to learn, on a phone call for Father, after a protracted search, to offer me the position that I now have the privilege to hold. And I was delighted to take it. I can't believe 4 years have gone by. And over the past 4 years, Father and I have literally traveled the world from places like Oman and Dubai to London, Dublin, Stockholm, Panama, Puerto Rico, all points throughout the U.S. But one of the first people that I met upon taking this job 4 years ago was in my own backyard of Long Island in Frank Boulton. And no matter how many miles we have logged over the past 4 years, and no matter how many miles we will log over the course of the campaign, I will tell you that you will not meet a more loyal alumnus than Frank. He's just a great example and deserving honoree of the St. Thomas of Villanova Medal, and follows a number of recipients before him with a distinguished career for him in the financial and baseball sector, but also for the significant impact that he has had on Villanova, the Alumni Association, and the community at large. In addition to his very generous philanthropic support of Villanova, he contributes to the university in so many ways in helping us to reach our goals in many, many countless ways. He is one of our most generous donors as a longtime member of the President's Club. He also serves on a newly established initiative called the President's Leadership Circle, which is a key volunteer group that has been working at the behest of Father Peter over the last 2 years as we look toward the launch of this next great campaign. Not to mention, he is a diehard Villanova athletics fan. I'm sure many of you know and will agree that sometimes it seems like he is everywhere, particularly at just about all of our men's basketball home games. I'd like to personally thank Frank, a fellow Long Islander and sports fan, for all you do for Villanova and for your continued involvement in the success of this wonderful university. I'd also like to take just a moment to thank the Alumni Association for sponsoring the St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal, a tradition that has recognized our most devoted alumni for more than 15 years. And with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce your president, the 32nd president of Villanova, the Reverend Peter M. Donahue.
Thank you very much. When this was all being planned, I have a person in my office who actually kind of coordinates all these events and what I'm supposed to do and what I'm not supposed to do at them. And when this event came about, they sent over from the alumni office remarks. And I usually don't, I'm not usually scripted. I usually just get these kind of suggested things I should say, and then I can kind of like freewheel from there. And but this came over from Gary Olson's office, and it was like, this is what Father should say. So I'm supposed to read this about Frank, so I will read it. And then, Frank, I'm going to add some comments at the end of it. So I will wax eloquently at the end of it, but one would be hard-pressed to find an alumnus more dedicated and enthusiastic about Villanova than this year's recipient of the St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal. Frank Boulton, class of 1973, has dedicated to the success of Villanova University and the Long Island Alumni Chapter, has enabled many students to pursue their Villanova education. After graduating from Villanova in 1973 with a BS degree in finance, I usually refer to most of the business school degrees as BS. You know, I love the business school. I told you I'd add some remarks in here. Frank started a 25-year career on Wall Street in the U.S. Treasury and the MBS bond industry. He retired from Smith Barney in 1994 as Senior Managing Director of the Government Bond Department. In 1996, he returned to Wall Street and served as the Senior Executive Vice President in charge of Fixed Income Department for Yamaichi, America until 1999. Now in his 13th season as founder and CEO of the Long Island Ducks, Frank has established one of the most successful minor league baseball teams in the country. He is also the founder and CEO of the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball Clubs and has owned several other minor league teams. Frank is a member of the Villanova University's President Leadership Circle and the President's Club. He has served as a member and corporate partner committee of the Villanova University Alumni Association Board. He is active in the Long Island Alumni Chapter and has helped to organize and has been the auctioneer at the annual Long Island Chapter Scholarship Golf event, which has raised $75,000 for student scholarships. Additionally, he participates in the alumni interview program by meeting with prospective students. Frank is a longtime supporter of his local community. He has been a member of the Great South Bay YMCA Board of Managers for 27 years and is chairman for almost a decade. An old theater, that's what it says, an old theater that he and his wife, Karen, purchased. You could have a new theater if you wanted, Frank. An old theater that he and his wife, Karen, purchased and donated to the YMCA is now the Boulton Center for the Performing Arts. I can see it on the main line right now. His numerous awards include the YMCA Lifetime Achievement Award, the Entrepreneur of the Year, Spirit of Long Island Award, the Harry Chapin Humanitarian of the Year, and the Carol M. Baldwin Breast Cancer Research Fund Corporate Championship Award. The Long Island Business News has named Frank Boulton one of Long Island's 100 most influential people. That's where the script ends. Back to the theater. I can see it now. Maybe we should just go the Karen Boulton Center for the Performing Arts. Yes. I actually got to know Frank not through any Villanova events, but actually through his daughters, Whitney and Morgan. And my middle name is Morgan, so I was greatly affiliated to the both of them. But they were students here at Villanova when I became the president and when I started this whole thing. And Frank and Karen were introduced to me basically, I think, through Whitney first and then eventually through Morgan. I won't go into Whitney and Morgan's career at Villanova. They enjoyed their time here, didn't you, ladies? Yes. They've been very successful, and usually when Mom and Dad showed up, they were kind of like, oh my God. But Frank and Karen have been wonderful supporters of Villanova for many, many years. And I find that Frank is so supportive of the university in terms of not his experience, because he may talk about his experience of coming to Villanova, but he was re-energized at Villanova because of Whitney and Morgan's experience. And they're both coming to Villanova suddenly kind of recaptured his enthusiasm about the place and about what Villanova is all about. Now, he may disagree with me in one way or the other, but he was extremely dedicated to his daughters and what his daughters were what they were doing and their involvement at Villanova. And I think it re-energized his commitment to Villanova because he became very committed to what we were doing, the mission of what we were trying to do. I'll let him talk about the hobby Indian sweat tent. But it was an opportunity for him to really kind of look at Villanova from a different perspective, not so much as an alumnus, but as a parent, and what Villanova was really offering to both of his daughters. Many people, when I first became president, said, oh, Frank is the owner of the Long Island Ducks. And with my great sports background, I actually thought they were talking about a hockey team. And I kept saying to myself, I didn't know Long Island had a hockey team. But there's an Anaheim Ducks, isn't there? Yes. Yeah. And aren't they hockey? Yeah, see, so I'm not so bad. But it was baseball. And then when I met Frank, he kept saying, you need to come up and see the baseball team. You need to see the baseball team. And I was like, yeah, I'll be right up for that one. And then he suddenly mentioned we have the Boulton Center for the Performing Arts. And I went, yes, I'd be happy to come up there. And not once did he ever invite me. So, you know, it was kind of like, do you want to see baseball or do you want to go back to Villanova? But in any case, I am supposed to read this citation. So on behalf, Frank, on behalf of the entire Villanova community, I am pleased to present. I think you're supposed to be up here, actually. I'm not sure about this, but... Is there something? Oh, there it is. Okay. On behalf of the entire Villanova community, where are you? Come here. Right here. I am pleased to present the 2012 St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal to Frank Boulton, class of 1973. And I think Bob's supposed to be up here for this.
He's on his way.
Yeah. So from a grateful Villanova community, for all you have done, for all you have continued to do, and for all we know you will do in the future. Frank.
That's the big part.
Yeah, that's the big part. And in Thanksgiving for the Karen Boulton Center for the Performing Arts. I bestow upon you this congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Standing ovation. Congratulations. How about this? Standing ovation. before you leave, there's something special after you come down. I know you have some remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. Please, 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 please. Okay, Father Peter, your notes are here. Oh, you took yours. Well, first of all, Father Peter, thank you for those very kind words. Mike O'Neill, thank you for your very kind words. You know, this is really an honor that I will treasure forever. Those who have come before me and been recipients have let me know that how much they cherish this award, and I just want you to know I will as well. I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank Gary Olson, and I want to thank Jim O'Connor for actually hiring Gary Olson. As he told us today, he was the man. But thanks to Gary Olson and the Villanova University Alumni Board of Directors for selecting me for this very prestigious St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal. It's a mouthful, but, you know, I got through that. That's good. You know, I want to thank, you know, Father Peter, you touched on it, but I wanted to thank my daughters, Morgan and Whitney. Whitney, class of '07, Morgan graduated last year. And you know, without them, Father's exactly right. I would have not re-engaged. I wouldn't have been here. I mean, I come to Villanova like it's going to the 7-Eleven. I live on the South Shore of Long Island. And sure, I would have had my Villanova sweatshirts and T-shirts and basketball pants and letter opener and cufflinks and ties and pajamas and my favorite, the chair. Would have had all that anyway, because it's been important to me. But really, to get a peek behind the curtain was really through the last 8 years or so. It really meant so much to me. And you know, and I guess part of the criteria, because I did read about the criteria why I was getting this, was that you were supposed to do something with this degree that you got. And I you know, couldn't do that without a very supportive wife, and my wife of net will be soon 36 years, Karen Boulton. I have to tell you, don't try this at home, but I had a pretty successful career on Wall Street. I came home one day, and you know, you have the, hi honey, how was your day? And I go, well, pretty good. I resigned my position at UBS as a senior managing director, and I bought a baseball team, a professional baseball team. And I kind of got the look and said that, but good news, it's a Yankee team. You know, being a New Yorker, I know that doesn't play well in Philly, but so I ended up with a couple of Yankee teams before it was all over, and went back and forth to Wall Street, but and got involved with YMCAs and theaters in Villanova, and one of the things is incredible to do any of this, you have to have a supportive partner. So thank you, Karen. So about a week after the Big East this year, I had very little to do. I was sitting at home trying to pretend like I was interested in these two teams that were playing on CBS, and I had my iPad next to me. That's what we sort of all do, and I Googled St. Thomas of Villanova Alumni Medal, and up came all the recipients, and I was like, oh boy, look at these guys. These are great Villanovans, and once again, it is such an honor to have my name put on that list. And then I scrolled down, and I saw that the last 3 recipients had all been on YouTube. So this is, you know, we're filming, and we're going to be on YouTube with this, I would imagine, unless I really bomb on this thing. So Whitney had been home on a Sunday. Now, Whitney, our older daughter, is a little bit of a critic with me. She's been my tough daughter when it comes to me. And so I had been at 2 of the 3 leadership summits where we gave out the medal. And the first one I clicked on was Admiral Christine Kohler. She had gone to Villanova. She had this still has this distinguished career. She runs all the nurses in North America. She's an outstanding Villanova. She went to school here in the NROTC program in the nursing school and is still at it. So Whitney, passing by, goes, pretty impressive. So then I clicked on, I kind of went out of order. I clicked on Harold Jensen. that was probably a mistake. Harold comes up, and Jay Wright's introducing him, and he's telling his one pat of butter story that we've all heard. So, I mean, really, seriously, if you haven't heard the one pat of butter story, you just haven't arrived. You know, you got to come here more if you haven't heard it. Anyway, and then there's a highlight film for this guy, a highlight film, and deserving, because Harold had a perfect game. I mean, he shot 5 for 5 from the floor. He was 4 for 5, exactly. He helped us win a national championship. Incredible, and he was also president of the Alumni Association. So what a career, and very deserving. And Whitney goes by and says, you know, there's a big picture of that team when you walk in the pavilion. Thank you, Whitney. I'm a season ticket holder. I know. And then I clicked on Herb Asbury, the last recipient. And Herb's like Mr. Villanova. I mean, for everyone who knows Herb or doesn't, you get to know Herb. He's like this amazing guy, and former chairman of the Board of Trustees, former Alumni Association president, Capital Campaign Steering Committee chairman, I think. Just an amazing guy. And he's actually, Father Peter was speaking about a person that he met at Manhattan College, and this is on the YouTube. You can all watch it, by the way. And he goes, this fellow says, I met your chairman, Herb Asbury, and he said, boy, he really read the manual and drank the Kool-Aid. And Father Peter, at that point, exclaims that, no, Herb didn't read the manual and drink the Kool-Aid. He wrote the manual, and he made the Kool-Aid. At that point, Whitney goes, Dad, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. I said, Whitney, don't worry, because really what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to find a common denominator between the recipients, and I can watch their speech here. And one of the things that I found out that we did have some things in common. Number one, we were all surprised, right, Harold? You were surprised. When Gary and Bob called me, they said, do you have a minute? And I said, well, I'm trying to get Karen in the car. I'm on my way to New York City. They said, well, you have to speak. You have to listen to us. So they told me, and then I was rendered speechless, a state I don't find myself in often, but I was. You know, and second that I found out that and I think Harold actually said it, was that whatever service we did to win this award, it paled in comparison to what we get out of it. I mean, honestly, service to Villanova, I've had a blast. I mean, it was an excuse in so many ways for me to come down and visit the girls. Oh, I'm here on official business. You know, it's okay, you know, I'll stop. You want to go to dinner? You know, but it gave me an excuse to come down, and I loved every minute of it. And third, I think that everybody agreed in that Villanova was really the foundation. You know, we were all pretty good students to get into Villanova. I think so, right? I mean, you had to be a pretty good student, even back in '73 or '69. But here's where I found out that school was something different than, class was something different than what I did before I was waiting for practice, you know, as an athlete. You know, here the intellectual light bulb went off. Got an intellectual, went on, I should say, and got a real curiosity to learn. So at Villanova, the one thing I was listening today, and everything's gotten so technical, the one thing I know about Villanova is I learned how to learn. You know, that was the biggest thing that I took away from my time here as a student. Now, one thing that was different, and Bob likes to say, and he's been saying it quite a bit, that everybody's got a Villanova story, and I believe that's true. And he's had a lot of fun as president, and I want to thank you for your 2 years. And I think we owe Bob Burns another round of applause for his. And by the way, Katrina, he's not really leaving. He's not going anywhere. You know, good luck, Katrina. You know, you got him. You know, there's no question about it. But anyway, everybody's Villanova story is a little different, and so is mine. And if you don't mind, I'm going to tell you mine, because I think it's clearly different. I'm probably the only person to stand up here and accept this award that only spent one day in campus housing, and that was in the infirmary. Had some little infection on my leg or something. And that's the old infirmary, by the way. So I came to Villanova late because it wasn't my first college. I had graduated in 1969, and I had visited Villanova, had applied to Villanova, got accepted to Villanova. I had great sponsors on Long Island, a great Villanova family called the Meltons. You might know Father John Melton, we'll come back to that. But my great-grandfather was the president of the New York Maritime Association. And so it kind of was always kind of fitting that I would end up, and my parents dropped me off in June of 1969 at Kings Point, the United States Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, where I was a midshipman, 4th class, for a grand total of 3 weeks. And I ended up, I was on the football team, and first week of live scrimmages, I tackled one of my teammates, and I didn't get up. I had severed the vertebrae, C6 and C7, and was paralyzed on the left side of my body. And you know, it was pretty difficult. I spent the rest of the summer in a very lovely place, the United States, Staten Island, United States Public Health and Service Hospital, a real gem of a hospital. And I spent better part of 10 weeks there. And while I was there, you know, I was in the halo bed with the pins in the head and the whole deal. And I went through the physical therapy, and I started to gain my legs back, and my left leg back, and my left arm. The Melton family came to my rescue. And Father John Melton, who for years was at Bonner and Malvern, was the younger brother of really my original sponsor, a guy named Andy Melton, class of 42. 92 years old. I just spoke to him. He told me that he got his invite for his 70th annual reunion here at Villanova. He's considering coming. So they came to my rescue, and they said, they spoke to my parents, then they said, you're going to Villanova. And I said, that's terrific. So they dropped me off here at Villanova. I was 2 weeks late. School had already started. They had already had whatever. We wore freshman beanies back then, too, right, Father Peter? We had freshman beanies. I told the guy, nah, no beanie for me. So, you know, I had come here, a little wounded, but I got to Villanova, and I ended up with no housing, and I ended up sleeping on Bobby Melton, who you married his son. I slept on his couch till I wore out my welcome, and then I moved to some scary boarding house in Bryn Mawr. All of that didn't set up for a great first semester. When my midterm grades went home, I was dangerously close to getting not invited back to Villanova. And I got a call from my parents and said, we'd like you to come home. We want to talk to you about this. So I got home, and it said, it's probably, mentally, physically, and I was not doing well academically. So, what was the deal? So they said, Father John Melton called. He wants you to go visit him at Bonner. I love Father John. He helped me out here. So I went to see Father John Melton, and he said, I want you to go see a former student of mine who's in the seminary at Villanova. I'd like you to meet him. And I said, I love you, Father John, but really, at that point, did I really want to go in the seminary and meet this guy? So, and just being totally honest, and so I went over to the seminary, and I sat down, and I'm waiting for this fellow, Bill Atkinson. His brother, Al, had recruited me, and he was on the Jets, and he was co-captains with Joe Namath when they won the Super Bowl. But his brother, Bill, was a Bonner graduate and a student of Father John's, and so there I am. I'm sitting in St. Mary's waiting for him, and I hear, and I see this guy coming around the corner in a wheelchair. And he is hooked up to 4 machines, one for each, for his arms and his legs. And he rolls up to me, and he goes, hi, Frank, I'm Bill Atkinson. Father John tells me you're having a rough go of it. Of course, my heart went into my stomach, and I sort of said, Father John's giving me a lesson here. And for those of you who knew Father John, this was not surprising, but totally blindsided me on this one. And So we spoke for about an hour, hour and a half, and he told me about his toboggan accident. I told him about my football accident. We traded stories about the Jets, and we had a very nice conversation. And then when we were just about to say our goodbyes, his leg came out of the brace, and it started to spasm, you know, moving around. And he looked at me very calm when his leg was spasming. He said, "Frank, would you put my leg back into the brace?" Now, I'm shaking, his leg's shaking. I tackle his leg. I put his leg back into the brace. We say goodbye. And I have to tell you, that was my Villanova story. That was a game-changing moment in my life. And I can't tell you that I haven't had challenges. We all have challenges in life. But that was a game changer, and things got better. And they've helped me, that particular time, that defining moment, and that Villanova story has helped me, you know, in life. You know, it's very, very special moment. So anyway, Bill Atkinson becomes Father Bill Atkinson. Teaches for many years, right, Jim Gula, over at Bonner. And there's a book out that was sent to me by Michael Gaynor. And hopefully a lot of you know Michael Gaynor. He's director of admissions here. And I was speaking to him about this story of mine. He said, "I have a picture of Father Melton and Bill Atkinson behind my desk. And by the way, have you read the book?" So Bill Atkinson, it says in the top of it, in the 2,000-year history of the Catholic Church, he was the first quadriplegic ordained to the priesthood, right here at Villanova. It's pretty amazing. His book is Green Bananas. It was written by Steve McWilliams, who actually teaches theater and teaches theater here at Villanova, and it's a wonderful story. On sale at the bookstore for any of you who are interested. You know, it's a wonderful story and the wisdom of Father Bill Atkinson, and I truly think there was a lot of wisdom there. You know, in conclusion, I'd just like to say that I am so grateful for what Villanova has offered in the terms of education to myself and to Whitney and to Morgan. That I'm so proud of where Villanova is today. You know, proud of the leadership, proud of my daughters and their friends that I've got to know. You know, you're going to be a friend with my daughter, you're going to get to know me. It's just that's part of the deal. You know, in the extended family and the parents that we've met and the friendships that we've made through the girls. And again, back to what Father Peter said, it's just so true. So I'm proud. I'm proud of where Villanova is today. I'm proud of. There's a couple guys here. You know, Tom Tesoro and Chris Provenzano and Rob Carlucci. They're seniors. You got 4 weeks left, right? You're seniors, 4 weeks left. And then on the way out, Bob Byrne and Mike O'Neill would like to see you, by the way. And finally, I'm so excited for Villanova's future. I mean, a Whitey Rigsby pitch shot, you know, pitching wedge shot from here to the President's Lounge, there's a model of what Villanova can and will be under Father Peter's leadership. You know, we have the right team in place. We have the right leadership, the right faculty, the right staff. We need to all buy into how great this place is and where even how much better it can be. I thank you so much for this award. Thank you. Oh, please, please.
One little special thing. We have one last presentation, very special presentation before we close the program. I'd like to introduce two students, Rob Carlucci and Tom Tesoro.
These are the guys I was talking about. This is my PR department at Villanova right now.
All right, Mr. Boulton. Good evening. My name is Robert Carlucci.
And I'm Tom Tesoro.
Tom and I are both Villanova School of Business students, and regardless of what Father Peter says, it's something we're very proud of. Earlier in the year, we put together the Business and Sports Conference, and naturally, as we're looking for people to attend, Mr. Boulton was someone who we wanted to be a part of this. So for about a month or 2 months before the event, we exchanged countless emails with Mr. Boulton, and we spent a ton of time with him on the phone as he's driving from Villanova back home or to wherever. And I think the fact that he would spend so much time with two seniors at Villanova who he'd never met before for the betterment of Villanova really speaks a lot to his character.
So with all this said, on behalf of the student body, we'd like to present Mr. Boulton a baseball jersey.
This weekend, Coach Dodger and playing at shortstop. And Chris is going to snap a picture. Why don't you get in the middle?
Talk about YouTube, Frank. There it is. It'll go viral.
Thanks, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Boulton.
Thanks once again. And by the way, these guys would hunt anybody down. These guys are going to make some noise in this world, and they make us so proud here at Villanova. Thanks once again. Thank you very, very much. I'll treasure it forever.
Before we adjourn, I would like to thank the Connolly Center and Dining Services staff for their outstanding service this evening. I would also like to acknowledge the contributions of the staff of the Office of University Advancement for their work in preparing for this evening's celebration and dinner. And lastly, I would like to thank all of you for being with us this evening to celebrate this very special occasion for our good friend Frank Boulton. At this time, I would like to ask Father Sean Tracy, chaplain of the Alumni Association, to deliver the benediction. Following the benediction, I would ask you all to stand to join the Villanova singers in singing the Alma Mater.
Unitas, veritas, caritas. Unitas, community. Unitas, friendship. Unitas, relationship, family, daughters, sons, children. Unitas, sharing meals together, sharing stories, history, living at the level of soul together. Veritas, truth, integrity, responsibility, insight, sharing of all of that. And caritas, caring, love, God, Spirit, world. All of this we give thanks, O God. It all comes from you. It all is within you. And it is all for you. We are grateful, thankful, appreciative. And we say this in the name of Jesus the Lord. Say amen. 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 And so the words of the Alma Mater are on the back of our menu here, and we can stand as we join together.
When the twilight shadows gather out upon the treasured halls. We will leave an echo ringing in the silent night, while our memories are singing of the blue and white. When the last big game is over and the last roll call is heard, when the oldest pedagogue has had the final word, we shall come to Alma Mater in our dreams again, with a prayer for Villanova and a sweet amen.
Thanks so much to the Villanova Spires. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Have a great evening, and please drive safely. Thank you.